And you can
This
save,
is,
you could eat
yeah,
it.
this is a scrapple.
And you can save, what they do in the baking shops is, they save all the cake crumbs, and they make other pastries from them. None of this goes to waste.
Yep.
This becomes sellable products, like, what are some things you would do with cake crumbs?
We used to put them on the sides of cake as garnish.
You could, yeah.
We used to dry them up and use them as pie crusts, cheesecake crusts. So
You
there's
make rum
always
balls
use for
out of them. I've seen places where they add, you
Cake
know,
balls,
like,
rum
yeah,
balls.
yeah, little bit of flavoring, rum flavoring, and some sugar and other, and they squeeze them and make little, and then maybe roll them in icing or something like that. So this is all sellable, but you can eat it. You just do this for if you want to eat your cakes, you can. Okay, good. Now look how nice and even she got that. And the whole point was it's because she's done this a lot, so she knows how to do this. But the key was that she let the table do it. It turned, and the knife, she's not like trying to saw through with the knife. She's letting the knife glide through as she turns it, so that
You
she's
want it
keeping the
to
knife
be
at one level.
like, obviously your hand would be on top, but you want to keep your fingers up and keep your hand on top because it'll help you get that level cut. So for the next 2 layers, we're not measuring them, right?
We're eyeballing.
Okay, so you want to start going up top and then down. So look at your cake and you see that there's, okay, that's about 1.5, 2 inches. So you want to be able to get like 1/4 inch out of it. So you just start at like an even distance, get it in your corner. If you just want to go around the crust on the outside at first, that's completely fine. Just make sure you come back to your initial cut right there, and that's how you know you stayed level. So now you keep going around and you just keep going into the cake. And then you have your first layer. So then you do it again for your second layer. And then you
Makes it
have
look
layers
easy.
2.
It's not as easy as it
And
looks
3.
because she makes it look easy because she's done it enough and she's naturally gifted. But you know,
Thank you.
it takes some time to get that good to where you do it that fast. But that's the idea. And see how even those layers look? Really nice. Yeah, she's good. All right, now it gets interesting.
So now we're gonna fill. I was telling Chef at my job where we're at right now, what we would do at this point is we would stack these layers and trim the entire crust off the outside because they don't want crust on any of their cakes. It's kind of a pain in the butt, and that's usually the hardest part of it. So we're just gonna skip it because you have a round outside right now, and it's not gonna make that much of a difference.
We don't teach that. We
So,
don't teach that method here.
yeah.
We'd
Jay
rather
doesn't
you
teach
just
that.
Just leave the crust on because we're gonna ice it. It won't show through.
So
Leave the crust on.
I didn't get a bag.
It's dirty.
Is it all okay?
So you just want to get a bag because you're gonna build your. Now some people will do the simple syrup before they do their dam, but I always do my dam first because then the syrup doesn't drip off and make a mess all over
Good
your
trick.
cake.
Good trick.
I know that you don't teach it, but for when you take the crust off, is there like a
Trick?
way that you do it, or you?
Do you want me to just show them? They don't have to do it.
Yeah, you can show them.
Okay.
I just
So you
I-
can
Good
see
for
how
you
we
to
do
see
it.
You know, because you're interested in that, right? So.
Right, so at that point, and a trick that we use when we're doing that too, when we take the crust off the outside, is you can, if your cake is unlevel for some reason, you can kind of move the layers around to make it level. So for the crust, we literally just take it and we go and we just trim off the outside all the way around the entire cake. And it also brings it in a little bit on the board, so you won't have cake showing while you're icing.
And you can be sure of one thing, if a cake company is asking you to do that, they better be doing something with those crumbs because they're losing a lot of money in all that trim. So
Yeah,
they
my
gotta-
job doesn't do that.
So they got it. It's amazing that so basically they're leaving money on the table. They're losing profits by not converting it. What about that little spot right there?
Did I miss a spot? Yep, thank you. See, the problem with this step is most of our interns learn how to do cakes like this, and you can get it so uneven that it makes it really hard to ice if you don't do it right. That's why it's a crucial
Yeah,
step.
it's not a perfect circle anymore.
Yeah.
It's got little, so that we're not going to do that. I'd rather you guys not do that step forward. It'll set us back a little bit.
I just want-
But this is a good technique that she's going to do now.
So,
this is a great trick.
My buttercream at work, just how I've been trained to do it, because you do get a lot of air bubbles. You guys
Trip, can you get the
skip-
scissors out of my top drawer?
skip this step today, but we heat up our buttercream for no more than 15 seconds and whip it with our hands and with a spatula, try to get the air bubbles out and get it as smooth as possible. That's how a lot of our cakes at work end up looking like really like fondant smooth when they're buttercream. But you're gonna just take a bag with no tip and you're gonna build a dam, and you wanna do it so it's kind of off the edge of the cake but still on the top, and you just wanna spin. You don't need to move your piping hand, and you just wanna spin and then stop. And that should be all you need for now. And so you would stop at that point and simple syrup your cake. This will just keep the syrup from spilling everywhere.
We added a little lemon juice to this simple syrup, just a little bit, but it's basically, you know, just the same syrup we used for your Danishes. Sugar, equal parts sugar and water. And the reason we're putting the syrup on is that one of the things people hate about cakes is if the cake's dry. And they always go, boy, all this work and, you know, all the flavors in the icing, what about the cake? This is a way to build flavor into the cake and keep it moist. So this little bit of this little trick will add value, flavor value to your cake that goes way beyond the cost.
And realistically, customers don't understand that if you're doing a 5-tier wedding cake, you can't start the day before. Your cake isn't going to be made the day before. So this helps keep it fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
So you would just do a little bit like that, and then I had a towel over here.
Here, you can use mine if you want.
I'll just use the big one for now. So you're just going to put some of your raspberry layer in. I'm just going to do a thin layer, and then you said buttercream, right? Is what you wanted?
Yep.
So start from the inside and work your way out, and then just let the turntable do the job. And then you just stop at your border, your dam, so you don't mess it up.
So once again, what she's doing is she's building layers of flavor, and that's the trick. This is the whole goal here. As we've talked about from day one, it's all about delivering flavor to the customers. It's not just the cake. This is gonna surprise them now. The flavor, and other people have used apricot preserves or other kinds of smooth jams, but raspberry's the sort of universal, one of the classics.
So now you're going to take your spatula and you're going to put some buttercream in, and you're going to do the same thing on top of that raspberry.
And the reason she put that border around the dam around the outside is so that way the raspberry won't show through the icing to the when you do the final cake. It's protected. It's kind of kept enclosed.
So now a trick that I do to seal kind of the crumbs in a little is you still have this dam that goes halfway down your cake. So I always take my spatula and I go around and I seal it. And it also builds your dam up just a little bit higher for your next layer. And it gets rid of all those crumbs that might be loose from cutting it. But you guys won't be cutting it, so you don't have to worry about that. So then you would take the next layer. This is the top, but it doesn't really matter. Just lay it on, try to get it centered, and then repeat. Go back and do your raspberry again. Now this is your last layer of raspberry. You're only going to do it in the middle layers. So if you do want to move it a little, keep it back and forth and keep your hand flat and just go around.
Now, if something happens and raspberry gets mixed in with the buttercream, it's not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. Right now, this is still going to be in the inside of the cake, so they're not going to see it. So it's not like you ruined the cake, but she's got a really nice, clean-looking cake going here.
So then you put your final layer on top. And as you can see, mine's a little lopsided, but I'm always okay with that just because it's at the stage where you can kind of push it and make it lean straight. And then I always do one.
To build that
So now I just go back and I even it out with my frosting that was on the outside.
I don't know if we have these tiny little spatulas that you've got. You don't have those in your
I'm just
toolkit, do you?
used
No, I
to
don't think
using
so.
the little ones.
You got one, but so you're going to have to probably get the smallest ones of these. Are there small ones in there?
One.
I'll look and see if I can find it. That's a little tricky to work with because it's a wedge.
I mean, I can use the big ones. I usually do use the big ones. I'm just using the small one right now because I personally have more
So what we'll
control.
do is at this point, you guys can go and take your cakes to your turntable. Make sure you have a turntable. Get a knife. Do not cut yourself. Those knives are sharp. Don't get into, but make sure that dividing your cake into as close as you can to 3 even sections. First
You guys don't
step,
have to worry about getting your sides like super duper duper smooth. So we're gonna do crumbs on the side. But when you're icing your cake, you're always gonna start with a big glob of icing right in the middle of the top.
Oh, that's gonna
A
be-
lot.
This is gonna be hard.
We made more icing, so you don't have to worry about that. So you're gonna start in the middle just like you did with the fillings and just spread out. And you're gonna let it fall over the edge of the cake.
What? Like a blanket.
Yep.
like Michael Jackson's kid.
Took all your
It's making a design.
So now you have it like coming down the side like that. You just go back in. And like I said, you don't have to worry about getting the sides too smooth just because we're gonna put crumbs on them.
And you have your cardboard underneath there, right?
I do.
So remember that cardboard is the key because we have to get these cakes off the turntable at some point. So we're gonna get under the card table when we put them in the boxes later.
So I usually use like a bench scraper just to straighten my cakes. But it'll show you where it's not even in certain spots. So you just keep building it until you can get it even.
Oh, that's gonna be hard. Makes sense. Like what? Look at what.
Whoa, what did you just say?
Guys,
It looks
Keep your focus.
amazing. Like I cannot do that. I could try, but it's not.
It's not gonna look like that.
Like I don't even think I could do that.
with practice,
Cause she cut the
all
crust
things are
off.
possible.
That's the tarnish from
Keep that like nice, you just keep that nice and flat like that?
the top.
Yeah.
Yep, keep the top as smooth as you can get it. Sometimes it helps if you have really hot water and a clean spatula to get the top really smooth. So I'm actually gonna just heat up my spatula really fast.
And then, if there's, since we made a lot of extra buttercream after you finished, we have enough time, I think, for everyone. If you want to type some roses or florets on the top, like you did with your pies earlier, you can put some decorative work on it. This is buttercream. When it's cold, will set up. When it's warm, it'll be very soft. So we're going to keep the cakes in the fridge, and at the end of the night, what we're going to do is we're going to box them. Each person will box them, and you'll write on the box sponge cake with buttercream, and then you'll cater wrap the box, and we're going to deliver all the boxes. We'll leave them in here today, and then we'll deliver them all downstairs tomorrow when the storeroom's open.
So once you're done with that, you're just gonna take your cake. And then you're just gonna put crumbs up the side of the cake. So you don't have to worry about it being uber duper
That'll
smooth.
cover up any flaws that you have. She didn't really need the crumbs to cover any flaws on hers, but you might. So the cake crumbs will add
I don't
it.
think there's enough.
But you
I don't
might.
think there's enough crumbs, chef, to cover up my.
I curl the top up. I'm going Matilda on that.
Thank you.
And